Hello and welcome to The Big Picture, where today our focus is on the Aam Admi Party in light of the Delhi municipal polls result. The BJP won all three municipal bodies by a huge margin, while the Aam Admi Party, which had put in an extraordinary performance in the 2015 assembly elections in the city, came a distant second. Aam Admi Party leaders once again raised doubts on the credibility of EVM, saying that BJP's huge win can only be credited to the faulty machines and that Indian democracy is in danger. But the bigger danger for the party right now is that of relevance. After the humiliating defeat in Punjab, Goa and in the MCD elections, Arvind Kejriwal faces a dark future. Is it the end of the road then for him and his party? Joining us on the debate today, we have in studio Vinod Sharma, who's a political editor with the Hindustan Times. We have senior journalist Ashok Tandon, political editor with Business Standard Aditi Phadnis, and also political analyst Professor Subroto Mukherjee joining us as well. If I could start with you, Mr. Tandon. The problem of EVMs, whether they are faulty or not, that particular issue, do you think that really, put a bad, taste in the mouth of Delhiites? Because after 2015, 2 years down the line, what has really changed?
See, I don't think people have taken this EVM issue seriously. In fact, many political parties have also backed out. Only perhaps the Kejriwal party is the one which is still talking about EVM fault line. But I don't think there is any fault with the EVMs. The fault really lies within the Aam Admi Party in Delhi. Look at what Anna Hazare has said after the election and what his own party MP Bhagwant Mann has been talking about it. And all of them are pointing fingers at the style of functioning of Mr. Kejriwal. So, I think the Aam Admi Party in Delhi particularly needs to do introspection about their way of functioning. Now, this party came to power in Delhi with a thumping majority. Now, Mr. Kejriwal perhaps thought that he can emerge as a central leader because he has defeated both Congress and BJP in Delhi and replacing Congress. So perhaps he forgot that there are many senior opposition leaders who have been doing the same thing. Look at Mamata Banerjee, Naveen Patnaik, Nitish Kumar. No, he wanted to be something above them and take on Mr. Modi directly. So I think this is where he had. And he should have concentrated only in Delhi first and also performed something. And then he went to Punjab. He wanted to capture Punjab and be the CM again. So I think it is Kejriwal's own style of functioning that will be questioned within his own party. And the fault lies perhaps with his own style of functioning, which he is not allowing. Look at it. He lost Sidhu just because of his ego problem. So all these factors put together, I think gradually lost the confidence of the people of Delhi, and it was quite evident from the by-election in Rajouri Garden itself a couple of weeks ago. So therefore, I think there may be an internal debate within the Aam Admi Party whether Kejriwal style of functioning or the kind of politics Kejriwal has been pursuing so far, is it relevant?
Yes.
Because I think Aam Admi Party, which emerged out of a movement in which many people were involved, Anna Hazare was there, General V.K. Singh was there, Kiran Bedi was there, Prashant Bhushan was there, Yogendra Yadav were there. Where are these people? Just because his own style of functioning, his authoritarian style has led to exit of all these people. So I will not be surprised if more people leave Aam Admi Party just because of Kejriwal. So it may be called poaching, but see, his own MLAs are also not very happy with his style of function.
Is that what has reflected onto the votes? Is it the internal politics of Aam Admi Party seem to be scrambling for whatever possible, trying to do too many things within this small, short period of time? It has somehow left the voters disillusioned?
First of all, I don't think Aam Admi Party lost Sidhu, BJP lost Sidhu. And Aam Admi BJP tried to make do for that loss by getting Arvinder Singh Lovely on board. They didn't have a prominent Sikh face in Delhi, so they got Arvinder Singh Lovely, and now he's being sort of almost carried in as a minstrel, as some kind of a papal, presence in Indian politics, a defector, pontificating. I think let's not discuss Arvinder Singh Lovely or Navjot Sidhu. Their moves were guided by opportunism. The election result can be analyzed at two planes. One, that BJP entered as the most charged, most enthusiastic party in these elections after the victory in Uttar Pradesh, a stunning victory in Uttar Pradesh. Congress was morally broken. So was the Aam Admi Party on account of the loss in Goa and the setback in Punjab because they were hopeful of forming a government in Punjab. Why they lost in Punjab is a different subject of debate altogether. So BJP had a distinct psychological advantage over its two adversaries who were defeated, just defeated in various elections, and the BJP was the victor that entered the fray. Second, let's look at the statistics. BJP has got 36% votes in these elections. The Aam Admi Party has retained 28% of the 50% it had in 2015. And Congress has recovered some of the lost ground by scoring a 22% vote share in these elections. It is largely on account of the Congress getting back part of its vote bank that the Aam Admi Party lost. Now, why did the Congress get back its vote bank? That is a point to ponder for the Aam Admi Party. May I say one thing, with all humility and respect, that of course, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal was at fault on many issues.
Yes.
He has a huge temperamental problem in working as a team. He marches to his own drum beats mostly. And he could not strike a working relationship with the earlier governor, Mr. Najib Jung, and he doesn't have a very cozy relationship with the current governor, Mr. Baijal. And he was always at daggers drawn with the centre. Of course, there were two power centres in Delhi.
Yes.
One was the Honourable Prime Minister and the other was Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. And Kejriwal, for whatever reasons and in his wisdom, thought that he should position himself against Mr. Narendra Modi to show himself as the principal opposition, because the principal opposition was in a sorry state, that is namely the Congress. And there were other political parties, mostly on the secular side of the divide. Most political parties in the 2014 polls were decimated or marginalized hugely.
Yes.
So he saw it as an opportunity. He went about it the wrong way. He confused himself as a rebel and as a ruler, as an administrator. You know, after having been elected as Chief Minister, his focus should have been more on governance and less on rebellion.
Yes.
And that is where I think the problem lies.
Aditi, you know, speaking like how Vinod saying, you know, concentrating on governance, that was perhaps lacking in the Kejriwal government, or at least as far as Arvind Kejriwal, you know, himself as a CM is concerned. But the going hasn't been easy, you know, these 2 years. The very fact that that war with Najib Jung, as well as, you know, like being pointed out, there are two power centers in Delhi. One was, of course, the Modi government, one is the Kejriwal government. And that didn't make things easy for him as well. Do you agree?
Well, life is not easy, and I think Kejriwal's governance was absolutely in focus. For 3 consecutive budgets that his government has presented, the central issue has been education. Which mother, no matter how uneducated, no matter how poor, does not want to send her children to school? And that was the basis, that schools should be functional, that teachers should be there, that teachers should be teaching, that they should be more ambitious, that the quality of teaching should be better, the facilities provided for children should be better. So these are all, according to me, the basic functions of any government. And Delhi is a peculiar situation. It is in a cleft stick. You have an elected government, and yet the elected government does not have full powers. You have an MCD, but part of the MCD funds are paid by the Delhi government. So it pays the bills, but it has no authority to ask for any work to be done. So frankly, anybody, it's like Delhi chief ministership is a crown of thorns. I'm sorry that Mr. Kejriwal and others in his party were so late in realizing this, and also were unable to come up to scratch when it came to actual performance. So if you keep on fighting, and here in this MCD election, the fight was not on performance.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at 10 years of MCD under BJP, well, I don't see too much evidence of anything that has been done. Chikungunya is rampant. There is a crisis in health. There is a problem. Women don't feel safe. These are all things, and they are all financially bankrupt. So some serious thinking needed to be done to to foster some kind of a competitive politics between the MCD and the Delhi government.
So definitely MCD an opportunity missed, Professor Mukherjee. What does the Aam Admi Party do further on now? Or for that matter, what does Arvind Kejriwal do now? Does he step down? Does he take a role of a mentor? Or does he look for a certain alliance? Does he ally himself with perhaps a Mahagathbandhan, all these secular forces? But within that, he gets lost as well. So, as a personality that he is, what do we see him doing further on now to sustain himself in this field called politics?
I think it's premature to write the obituary of any political party or a personality. First, look to the conditionalities that led rise to Kejriwal. It was not exactly a political party. It was not a cadre party. It was not a mass party. It came out of a very small, I should call, social movement, more in the nature of a pressure group. So what happened was that he could only build a constituency in Delhi, because Delhi, if you really look to the map of India, is a unique city. There is nothing called a local population. There is nothing called a local issues. It's cosmopolitan issues. And the entire India is reflected in Delhi. There, I think what the problems with Kejriwal were, as has been pointed out by others, that he could not retain a team and really carry it further. But I think there are some other reasons also. Spreading too fast really does not work. Remember that Gandhi always said one step at a time. I think with all the limited powers of the Vidhan Sabha and the state of Delhi, it's a very imperfect, it's more like a corporation. He should have concentrated there. And again, I think he overplayed what he thought he could do with the Bijli Pani, that he could do with property tax. You see, people understand there is nothing called a free lunch. So, they want responsible and responsive leadership, and that he was unable to provide. Now, if you really look to the intra-party democracy point, I don't think no political party functions very democratically in India. So, that is not exactly a point against him. The point against him is that he did not play the, the game properly with the rules provided. He was in a hurry. He goes to Gujarat. He spends probably more time outside Delhi than in Delhi. And with a vibrant regional press and a very high rate of literacy, you see, Delhi voters can see who is what and what he is doing. Now, again, Vinod's point of, the vote percentage, that I think anytime somebody loses, this becomes important, not for the winner. Because if you really look to the entire electoral process in India, it's the minority parties which form government. So that I will not hold against any political party. The last point is EVM. I think there should be a certain amount of grace in accepting defeat. And if you are winning and pointing out that EVMs do not function properly, then probably people will take it seriously, not from a loser.
Absolutely. And while we're talking about what ahead for the Aam Admi Party, but also what ahead for that space, where the Aam Admi is, looking for an alternative form of politics. And that is what, Arvind Kejriwal was supposedly supposed to bring in. He was that change everybody was looking forward to, where, there would be transparency, accountability. But somehow that, that kind of an image is slowly getting eroded. Like being pointed out, it is too early, of course, to write an epitaph. But at the same time, that space that he perhaps got, do you think, he's having to, climb down that pedestal?
You're right. The space which he captured in 2015 election was largely the Congress share of vote bank and base also. Although at the end of the day, he got many BJP votes as well and he swept the poll. But in the last Rajouri Garden by-poll and even now, as Vinod also has mentioned, see, the Congress has gradually been now gaining ground, the lost ground. So I will not be surprised by the time we reach the next general election in Delhi or the assembly election in Delhi, Congress would have largely recovered its lost ground, which went to Aam Admi Party. And that also will largely depend on his performance for the remaining term as well. Now, if he understands the ground reality now, as other panelists are also saying, he should be concentrating more on Delhi as a chief minister, as an administrator, rather than going to Varanasi contesting election, going to Gujarat, going to Punjab. So I think time will tell whether he loses the remaining ground as well to the Congress. And Delhi is back to two-party system, which was earlier visible. And because at that time there was a very huge anti-incumbency against Sheila Dikshit, and as well as the BJP, which was ruling the municipal corporation.
Yes.
So he exploited the double anti-incumbency of the two main parties and also advantage of the agitation,
Yes.
which he was leading under Anna Hazare. But gradually, you know, first things started going down from within his own arrangement. First, Anna Hazare was not very happy with him.
Yes.
Then Yogendra Yadav left. Then Prashant Bhushan also left.
You have Sanjay Hegde.
And then number of ministers got involved in criminal cases.
Absolutely.
MLA were very disillusioned. So if you look at it, although we are not writing obituary of the Aam Admi Party, but the kind of decline we are witnessing, I will not be surprised if there is desertion among his sitting MLAs as well. But as I said earlier, it may not be the end of the Aam Admi Party, but it certainly may be the end of the Kejriwal style of politics.
Okay, okay. And speaking about how the rest of the term will look out, Vinod, you know, some reports in fact saying midterm polls perhaps around the corner. Are they jumping the gun, or is that a possibility?
You see, first of all, I'd like to know what's Kejriwal's style of politics and how is it different from the style of other leaders. Let's not take names.
Style of the Congress, style of the
Most
BJP.
No,
Yes.
as my other friend said, no, he wanted to not only replace the Congress but take the space of the major opposition in the country. You know, which even
Is it that he tried to become an opposition to Modi, who has been in this for so long? He's really worked hard to be where he is.
Yeah. So that
Modi,
is Kejriwal's style.
Do you think that
within 2 years
Yes.
you want to become a national alternative?
See,
Do you think that sense of overconfidence is what put people off?
I don't hold Mr. Kejriwal's brief, but I think there are certain facts which should be shared in a discussion. Mr. Kejriwal, yes, of course, was a neophyte in politics. And that he got catapulted by a social movement, as the professor rightly pointed out, focusing on graft. And that social movement at that point in time had many faces that are now part of the BJP. And at that time, it was very obvious that that movement had the support of many elements that can be called as anti-Congress elements. So that movement was used for various purposes by various political parties, including the BJP, and most notably, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, who created a party out of that movement. Mr. Anna Hazare has been a flip-flop on Mr. Kejriwal. Sometimes he praises him, sometimes he criticizes him, depending on whether he is winning or he is losing. So, with all respect towards Annaji, I don't take him seriously politically anymore, because he hasn't been seen after the winding up of that movement at all. Active on any front at all. Secondly, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, yes, of course, was being ambitious too early, too soon. But politics is all about being ambitious. And surely it was his time when other political parties were lying prostrate on the ground, showing no sign of life. And mind you, in Punjab, if the elections were held about 8 months before they were held, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal's party would have easily scored 100. It was very clear. But because he mishandled things in Punjab, chucking certain people out the way he did in Delhi, he did not keep his flock together. He was intolerant towards people questioning him. To that extent, he has not been able to hold his own and his party.
But that is exactly what Mr. Tandon is trying to say. Kejriwal's style of politics, yes.
That he has lost.
Yes.
The only difference is that I see no reason between him and so many other regional leaders and also national leaders. Please, in terms of temperament, in terms of the kind of control they want over their party, in terms of the unidimensional nature of their decision making. You know? I mean, please understand that. Let's not just lamb him because he has lost. But Mr. Arvind Kejriwal should remember one thing, that there is no substitute to performance. And that is the message for him here. That because he was not, he had raised public expectations sky high and he failed to measure up to those expectations. Now, the onus that was on Mr. Arvind Kejriwal on account of the brute majority he had in 2015 has shifted on the BJP on account of the brute majority it has got in the municipal elections, the brute majority it has at the center, and the majority it has at so many states. So when reckoning time for the BJP will be more in 2019 compared to other adversaries, other claimants to power.
All right. Aditi, a lot of Aam Admi Party leaders, including in fact Kejriwal, hinting that, a dharna is around the corner. That protest against EVMs is perhaps going to get bigger. It's going to get onto the streets. And that is, of course, something that Kejriwal, at least in the beginning, when he started, before starting his political career, he was known for that. That was his signature style. And do you think he's going to get back to that? Is that the kind of politics which perhaps may work, in fact, for him, looking at how the trend has been so far?
He is probably going to get back to it. But is the Aam Admi Party going to get back via that route? I'm really not so sure. I don't think it's a good idea. I think they need to consolidate. They need to, they have just spread themselves too thin on the ground. They need to just sit back now, keep everything together. And their big asset was ideas in governance, things which were not polluted by jaded vested interest. That is why we found them so attractive.
Okay.
So they have to get back to that now. Otherwise, frankly, if they are going to do more dharnas and do more agitations, and then it will put them just in a path of confrontation with the BJP, which feels that it is on the up and up. It has, after all, beaten incumbency of 10 years in the NCD, and it's going to just degenerate into another kind of street fight, maybe in a more refined form. Which is going to be very distressing.
All right, Professor Mukherjee, last word from you.
The point is that Kejriwal was a phenomenon. And we must realize that the politicians are not very favorable with the people, the established parties and established facials. So even if Kejriwal is over, there will be another Kejriwal. Because what is happening in the democratic politics, not only in India, throughout the world, they are clamoring for change. They are clamoring for some kind of accountability and the delivery. And in that way, it's a warning to every single politician, not only to Kejriwal, that unless until you perform and deliver, there will always be thousands of Kejriwals.
All right, we'll have to leave it. Yes.
The brave new world that he promised did not get delivered. But the professor is right. People are looking for someone who can chalk out a course which is different from the weather-beaten, much beaten track which other political parties are following. There is hardly any difference between the parties which govern.
Do you think he should get back with Yogendra Yadav, Prashant Bhushan? Do you think that is...
One must have patience, which Kejriwal perhaps didn't have. To be ambitious is okay, but to be... one must have patience as well.
Yeah, the founding members of Aam Admi Party, the executive members, do you think it's time to perhaps reconcile with them? Do you think that is eventually going to happen? No, it doesn't.
In politics, people get together and people part company, depending on their instant interests in the game.
The needs at that moment,
But the utility of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal in public discourse is undeniable, because here is a man who raised issues which nobody dared to raise and put them in public domain. To that extent, I think any person believing in parliamentary democracy and public discourse, should be thankful to him.
All right. With that, of course, I have to wrap up the debate here. Thank you to all of you for joining me. One thing definitely for sure is this is not the end, of course, for Arvind Kejriwal, for that matter, the Aam Admi Party. But one thing definitely that Arvind Kejriwal has been getting wrong, and which perhaps is the most crucial for a successful politician, if you could say, is, of course, credibility. And at the moment, he seems to be squandering about to gain a little bit of that. And we'll have to wait and see what the future holds for him and the Aam Admi Party. That's it, of course, on The Big Picture. Thank you so much for joining us.